Now we're moving on to section 3, which starts our discussion on one of the biggest and best skills that we need, which is called accurate thinking. It has helped me so much. And I've always kind of thought this way, even as a teenager. When I started high school, I went to a high school in Garden Grove, California. It was about 2,000, 2,200 students. I knew one person when I started there, my freshman year, my ninth grade year, I knew one person. And I walked out of there 4 years later with a bunch of friends, with a bunch of good experiences. And it was just, I'm not looking back on high school like it was a high point in my life like that. You know what I'm saying? Plenty of difficult times, a lot of teasing, all that stuff, everything. It had difficulties too. But I went from one to a bunch because I was able to think accurately about situations. And accurate thinking is way more powerful than positive thinking. Positive thinking is actually something that when you're not feeling it can actually be counterproductive. All right. So I'm not interested in trying to trick you into thinking positively, like, hey, just think more positive. Hey. That doesn't really work. Now, do we want to be a positive thinker? Yeah. But at this point, you can't fake that. So what we can do is learn the skill of accurate thinking. It's amazing. It's an amazing skill. First, we're going to start with inaccurate thinking, distorted thinking. This is what we do on a daily basis. All right? And distorted thinking, what is distorted? Think of a TV picture like the screen on your TV. Nice and clear. Everything's coming in clear. I can see it nice. I get it. It makes sense. But when it's not, when it's distorted, then I can't really see what I'm trying to watch. And it's the same with our thinking. When we're thinking in a distorted fashion, then we're not thinking clearly and it messes us up and we make terrible decisions. So these are the things that we do when we're distorted in our thinking. We focus on the negatives. And it's a trip. This is the normal function of our brain. Think about how we wake up. We wake up in the morning thinking about stuff to worry about, focusing on the past, thinking of negative experiences. And that's a wreck. That's a normal function of our brain. Why? Because our brain's job is to keep us alive. So back in the day, I'm living in a cave. I walk out of my cave in a really happy mood and I get eaten because I'm not thinking. I'm not worried about what could happen. So the humans at that point who thought negatively and were worried about stuff, I keep looking inside of like I'm looking for something to eat me. That's funny. But the humans that thought that way stayed alive. And so that just became a natural default way of thinking. All right? And we have not evolved to that point. Past that point. So that's a wreck, that's our normal way, but that's what we do. We focus on the negatives. And what you focus on, that's what you see. It's called reticular activating system. All right? It's the law of focus. So the second thing is a result of that. We don't acknowledge the positives. We could have opportunities all around us, but if I'm only focused on the negatives, which means I'm focused on myself, which is what I was saying before about the 400 trillion to 1 and how I can't get out of my way and out of my own problems, I don't acknowledge any of the positives that are going in my life. And we're going to work on that as the class progresses. Lastly, we choose our feelings and emotions over the facts. Now look, I'm going to teach you, and what's important is what Dr. Brown was saying in that first video is we need to acknowledge our emotions. That's a fact. That hurt. That was painful. That was sad. That was happy. That was joyful. I have gratitude. Those things. So we acknowledge those feelings and we feel them. But what we choose to do too often to stay in a state of stress or anxiety or depression is we choose to stay in our feelings and emotions over something, even when the facts tell us that we don't need to stay there, that we're just choosing something based on almost an addiction. Well, it is an addiction to the way that we're living our lives. And it's not cool. You don't deserve that. It's not right for you. And I'm not saying it's right like you're messing up. I'm saying you don't deserve that. It's not right. You deserve more. And the truth be told, because each of us are a miracle, that we're all 400 trillion to one, that means that we all have an innate gift, something that we have within us that needs to come out. And when it comes out, it makes the world a better place. When we keep it to ourselves, then the world is missing out. I'm missing out. You're going to see later how we're connected. We are. And how you're connected to yourself. These are the questions that I want you to answer after I'm done playing the video. How can you, in the face of really negative experiences, find your power? All right. Family doesn't necessarily mean biological family. It's time to build a squad. We have people around us that want to be on our squad. Write in a journal each day about that stuff. We're going to come back to this. Do not isolate yourself. Remember, shame only grows in silence and judgment. All right? So, and then number 5, make changes. Just little ones. Just little ones. I'm going to wake up on time. I'm going to complete my work. I'm going to talk to one person today. Just little stuff. All right. So here's Will Smith, and he's talking about fault and responsibility. And it's really, to me, it brings into a clear picture, like we need to think accurately about every situation in life. All right, here we go.
I was just having a debate with a friend of mine, and we got stuck on the difference between fault and responsibility. She kept talking about how something was somebody's fault. It's somebody's fault. And I was like, it don't matter whose fault it is that something is broken if it's your responsibility to fix it. For example, it's not somebody's fault if their father was an abusive alcoholic. But it's for damn sure their responsibility to figure out how they're going to deal with those traumas and try to make a life out of it. It's not your fault if your partner cheated and ruined your marriage, but it is for damn sure your responsibility to figure out how to take that pain and how to overcome that and build a happy life for yourself. There was one thing I wanted to add also. I wanted to say there that taking responsibility, accepting responsibility is not an admission of guilt. You're not admitting that you're at fault. Taking responsibility is a recognition of the power that you seize when you stop blaming people. It's not like you're letting somebody who wronged you off the hook. Like taking responsibility is an act of emotional self-defense. Taking responsibility is taking your power back.
And that's a fact. This is really what we're going for with this class, is no matter what your age is, what your gender is, what situation you're in, you have more power than what you think you do. And you're going to tap into it with each skill that you build through this class. And it's going to be a daily for the rest of your life, for the rest of my life. Because when I teach this, I keep learning. I keep reinforcing stuff. It's not like I got it figured out. It's not like I'm perfect for, oh my God. I'm a wreck. But I'm a wreck that's moving forward.